Hello, everyone, and welcome to Uncivil Law, where we learn from the misfortunes of others. If you're enjoying this content, please hit the subscribe button. For today's legal discussion, we are discussing everyone's favorite topic, civil asset forfeiture, in the case of United States of America versus $68,812. In this case, the United States of America found $68,812, and they'd like to keep it very much, please. Now, they could prosecute someone criminally, but it's just so much easier if they can take it and not give it back. So, can the government keep this $68,812? What has the money done wrong? Well, let's find out. The United States seeks to condemn over $68,000 that the police found in a drug trafficking investigation. Miata Blackett says that the money is hers, but it's not offered any money evidence to support the claim. So she says, this is my money. And the government says, no, it's not. It's ours. And she says, it's mine. It says, can you prove it? Unfortunately, no. Thus, the district court correctly grants summary judgment to the United States and denied the motion to reconsider. So you haven't proven it's your money. We don't know whose money it is. It's our money now, though. The Parma Police Department officers witnessed a known crack cocaine dealer, known as Streets, come in and out of Miata Blackett's house before and after multiple drug deals. So they obtained a warrant for the house, which, that's perfectly fine. It sounds a lot like Breonna Taylor, but this one turned out a little bit better, I guess. So we see drug dealers going in and out of the house. Let's get a warrant for that. This one turned out a little bit better, I guess, though. When the officers executed the search, they recovered $68,812 of currency. Blackett was in the house and witnessed the search. During the search, she denied having any knowledge of Streets' drug trafficking activities. So, yeah, they've seen the drug dealers come in and out of their house. This known drug dealer, which suggests maybe, she's what we call a trap house, right? We learned that one from Nate Brody as we learned our drug nomenclature. So they've come in and said, we found the $68,000. It's like, I don't know who Streets is. This guy who's come in and out of my house. Well, you can deny it, but the police are not quite sold on that one, yeah. All right. Law enforcement suspected the money was related to Streets' business. Probably reasonable. Most people probably don't keep $68,000 in cash at their house, and it might be related to the drug business, kind of at least a plausible conjecture. So the United States filed a complaint to condemn the currency and order it to be forfeited to the government. Blackett contested the forfeiture and claimed to be the sole owner of the cash, which, was found in her house, so there is that. But she gave no other information. So she says, it's my money, and then refused to provide any other answers. In response to special interrogatories, so the government asked her a bunch of questions about it. So that's what special interrogatory is. It's like, yeah, we have some questions. In response to that, she asserted blanket Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. So she says, it's my money. And the government asks her a whole bunch of questions. These questions probably encompass such things as, where did the money come from? How did you acquire the money? What is the source of the money? What is the nature of how this money came to be? Why do you have this much money in your house? For what purpose was it being kept in your house? And she's like, I'm just not going to answer any of your questions to not incriminate myself, which is, of course, completely your right. But you are also preventing the government trying to figure out if it is legitimate or not. So, you can assert your rights. But unfortunately, in civil law, unlike criminal law, in civil law, your answers can be held against you. So in criminal law, not so much. In civil law, your answers can be held against you. So you don't want to answer it, that's okay, but we get to assume anything else that we want. The United States, therefore, successfully moved for judgment based on Blackett's lack of Article 3 standing. So another standing case. You don't even have standing because you haven't proved it's your money. And when we asked you questions, you refused to answer them. And that's your right, but, now we don't know who you are. The district court then denied the motion to reconsider, and Blackett appealed. We may hear this appeal only if Blackett filed her notice of appeal within 60 days of the order. She appealed within 60 days, but that motion itself was late. Oops. So we first addressed whether the district court had jurisdiction to rule on her motion, notwithstanding the untimely filing. The following deadline for the motion to reconsider is not jurisdictional. It is solely a creature of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. So there are deadlines to file the motions, and she filed her motion late, but it's not a structural thing. It's not in a jurisdiction thing. It doesn't deny the court jurisdiction. It's simply a rule. So, it doesn't have the same weight as a jurisdictional problem. Thus, Blackett's untimely motion did not deprive the district court of jurisdiction to rule on the motion, and the United States government forfeited any argument that it was late, and so this appeal is timely. So she manages to get one by and say, the appeal is timely. The United States government didn't point it wasn't timely, and the district court can ignore it if they want. It's just a rule. So it's not a thing that denies the court jurisdiction. So no problem, you can appeal. On the merits, however, Blackett has forfeited all of her arguments by failing to develop then or prevent any relevant citation. So on the merits, what merits? The government never pointed out the forfeiture, however, and instead proceeds in the merits, so we will too. So another situation where the U.S. government missed a memo. She forfeited all the arguments by failing to provide any evidence, but the government never argued that either. So it's like, okay, fine, we'll just move on. With regards to the review of the denial of the motion to reconsider, de novo, using the same standard the district court was required to apply. Here, that means asking whether the original grant of summary judgment rested on a clear error of law. To contest the forfeiture of the cash, Blackett must have Article 3 standing, manifested as a colorable ownership, possessory, or security interest. She asserted in her verified claim that she was the sole owner of the money, which were in her possession. When the government tried to elicit more information, she refused to provide any, nor did she provide any of her own evidence. Left only with claims of naked possession, the district court granted the government's motion for summary judgment, and that was in fact proper. Blackett's invocation of the Fifth Amendment changes nothing. The Fifth Amendment privilege is a shield, not a sword, to cut down her burden of protection. It prevents you from incriminating yourself, but it doesn't give you anything to attack. So in order to have standing, Blackett needs to bring forward facts showing a colorable interest in the money, and she fails to do so, therefore we affirm. Thus, that brings us to the end of the case of United States of America versus $68,812. In this case, during a drug-related search, the police came up with $68,812. And they want to say it's drug money, which, given what's going on, is not the most unreasonable conclusion in the world. And she says, wait a second, that's my money. And the government says, okay, we have some questions about that. Could you please answer them? She's like, no, I just want to say it's my money. I just want to say it. And the government's like, yeah, but we don't know that it's yours. And, your claim is interesting, but we have the right to cross-examine. We do have a right of cross-examination. We'd like to ask some questions. She's like, nope, Fifth Amendment. And so the court says, very reasonably, you have a Fifth Amendment shield, but not a sword. You have to show that you have standing in this money, and you haven't shown it. So the government denies that you have standing. If they wanted to assert that they have standing, the fact you possessed it would probably be enough, but they want to deny it. And so, you have to actually make some evidence, and they didn't do that. So, the government gets to keep the $68,812, and that brings us to the end of the discussion of this case. Thank you so much for being part of the Uncivil Law family. If you enjoyed this legal education content, please hit the subscribe button. It really helps the channel grow. We appreciate your continuing support. And until later, my friends, cheers and goodbye.